Welcome to the US Kiss Vinyl Reference YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe, and also follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the US Kiss Vinyl Reference. Today, you guessed it, we're talking about Rock and Roll Over. That guy right there. So, got a few variations to talk about. Got a couple of 45s to talk about as well. So, get your popcorn popped or whatever snack you desire. Get your drinks ready, and we'll get through this pretty shortly. All right, folks, welcome to another episode of the US Kiss Vinyl Reference. I am Mike Stone, as always. Can't be anybody else but me, but all right, as I said before, we're going to be covering Rock and Roll Over today. I got quite a few variations to talk about and an oddity or two. So we'll get into it. Got some 45s to talk about. If you notice, that stack ain't half the size of what I had for Destroyer. So if 45s aren't your thing, I won't keep you bored for too long. As always, we're going to start off with promos. And, well, right out of the gate, there's a little controversy here. So this is a sampler. This was released to radio stations to hype the upcoming tour. As you can see, it says special edition for radio station airplay only. I'm looking right at it and I still can't read it. And then not for sale, promotional copy, yada, yada, yada. So there's your promotional mark on the jacket. We got 5 songs on the back. I Want You, Hard Luck Woman, Take Me, Baby Driver, Love 'Em and Leave 'Em. I am going to take a guess, since Rock and Roll Over was released in November of 76. I'm going to take a guess that we've already got Calling Dr. Love out as a single, and we're wanting to push Hard Luck Woman now, because the only songs on here that are on a single at all is Hard Luck Woman and then Take Me, which is the B-side to Calling Dr. Love. But this was kicked out there to hype the upcoming tour. Now the controversy. We all know me and a few friends of mine have a lighthearted disagreement about a certain version of this. So we all know about the black and white cover here. This has been known for decades. You know, there's no question at all about whether this is official or not. There is a color jacket. It looks a lot like this. I'll drop a picture in. It has the entire back of the LP on the back of it with the full song listing. And so I had a friend of mine. Well, his name's John Humphrey. He took his jacket apart. He has the color version of this. And it was right around the time that a copy sold astronomically on eBay. It was up over $3,000. And he took his copy apart to see if there was any marks on the inside where they glue the jacket together. And he found a couple of marks. And I mean, it's been friendly, but at the same time, I was kind of serious about, my little quips about it. Well, I decided to take mine apart, this right here, because, John had taken his color one apart, and people were saying, well, we need to have somebody take a black and white one apart to compare. I finally bit the bullet and I took this one apart. Just a hair dryer and a X-Acto knife. Not much different than this right here is all you need. And a little bit of patience. It took me about 15 minutes or so to get it apart. But anyway, I found the same damn marks inside my jacket. At the end of the day, to me, I mean, it proves that the color jacket was at least printed in a professional place. Does it mean it's official? It doesn't mean that it's official. It doesn't mean that it's not official. I mean, we're talking, just a few years shy of 50 years later. We're never going to know. I'm maybe too stubborn to admit that it can be official. I don't know. A lot of people believe it is official now. I mean, I can't prove that it's not. They can't prove that it is. All we have to go by is both of our jackets have the same, it's a patent number on the inside of the jacket. If you want to watch what I'm talking about, it's a episode on a YouTube channel called Kiss My Wax or Kiss My Collectibles. And I pop in there a little bit. It's the second part to the episode. There's a part 1 and a part 2 to it. And I'm on the second part because I watched the first part and started flapping my gums as I do. And, then I kind of had to eat some words a little bit. So, yeah, Kiss My Collectibles. It's not too old of an episode. It's easy to find. I forget the title of the episode, but I mean, basically real or fake. If you search Kiss My Collectibles real or fake, you'll come across probably both episodes. So anyway, back to this. We know this one's official. And I showed you the promotional markings on the jacket, promotional copy, not for sale, all that. So we have the rock and roll over inner sleeve here. This is the same one that came with the album. And it is correct to be in with this one. The Destroyer sampler, it just had a plain white inner sleeve, but enough people have had theirs come with this. So I believe that inner sleeve is correct for this release. And another thing, it came with the inserts from the album, the sticker and the order form. Now, that inner sleeve and these inserts are no different than what you find in a regular rock and roll over album. So there's nothing special about any of these. All right. And then we get to the vinyl. And we're on the Camel label right now. The Camel label ran from April or May of 76 to May of 1977. So, we're well within the period here. And there's the label. And as you can see on the right-hand side, it says not for sale, special edition for radio station airplay only. All right. Now, the color jacket that has been in question this whole time, this vinyl is inside that jacket. I have never, ever doubted the whether or not this is a real vinyl or not inside that jacket. The only thing I ever really doubted was whether the jacket was real or not. So there's your promotional label, promotional mark on the jacket. And this one is not super hard to find, but I mean, it's not on eBay every day either. It can get a little pricey. And, you know, I'm not going to rule out that you can get a good deal on one of these, but I mean, if a dealer or a reseller comes across this in somebody's collection that they've bought, they know that it's pretty easy to tell that it's a little different than what they normally see. So there's your rock and roll over sampler. And now we move on to the proper album. We now have variations on promos. So from the debut album up to the originals, so far we've just had one variation of the promo, other than the debut having a stock copy with a promo sticker. But, you know, I've said what my thoughts were on that. But now we have different promotional labels, different ways that they've marked the jacket. And the first one that we come up with the jacket has that double notch that I showed in the Destroyer episode. And there. Now we can look at it without my screen changing color. Let me take all the goodies out because my sleeves were showing through that double notch and kind of messing up the view there. So there it is. Just a straight whack, and then you've got that little square notch in the middle. There's the back of the jacket. This is just a regular jacket that got whacked like that. So there's nothing special about this jacket that differentiates it from a stock copy other than this cut right here. And the cut, as I said in the Destroyer episode, just because this cut's here does not mean that it's a promo. So where rock and roll over exists with promo labels, if you have this cut and then just a regular retail jacket inside or retail record inside, it's not a promo from a collector's viewpoint. All right. Promotional copies come with all the inserts that were available to a stock copy. So we got the sticker, and then we've got the merch sheet in here. Now the label, let's not get ahead of myself. Same with the inner sleeve. This is same inner sleeve that you can find in the stock copy. Now the vinyl. We're on a camel label. And you got the title and the logo above the spindle hole. And then on the right-hand side, you've got side 1 and side 2. And notice underneath all that, it says not for sale. So with my method of using the least amount possible to describe a promo or a variation, I call this one side 1, side 2, because you have different ways to identify the sides with these variations, and amongst other differences, but side 1, side 2, side A, side B, the Roman numerals. You know, that's going to be our 3 variations here. That's going to be the way I describe the variations. Just the most dead simple way. So this one was side 1, side 2. All right. The next one we also have that notch cut, double notch, whatever you want to call it. There's 5,000 names for it. Same inserts, same inner sleeve. Really wasn't a need for me to pull those out, but all right. Then we get to the vinyl. You got the title and the logo above the hole again, and this time it's a little bigger. On the left, it says promotion copy not for sale. And then on the right, you can see where it says side A and side B. So that's how I describe this one, is side A and B. And for some reason with me, these promotional copies of Rock and Roll Over were hard to find. You would think that they would just be kicking out tons of promotional copies by this time period, but Rock and Roll Over seems like it's the last one that's a bit tough to find any promotional copy of. Now, certain variants are harder to find than others, but it's a little tough to find it. All right. Got another promotional copy here. And I'll have to take the stuff out to show the mark on the jacket. All right. So notice that little hole right there. People call that a BB hole, a hole punch, or whatever you want to call it, but that's a promotional mark on the jacket. I have not come across a stamped jacket for Rock and Roll Over. Gold stamps in general didn't start on Kiss Records until Live 2. They were using either saw marks, just a straight cut, or that double notch that I showed on the other 2. All right, now the vinyl. Notice on the right-hand side, above where it says side 1 or 2 in Roman numerals, it says promotional copy not for sale. You got the title above the logo, and the title above the spindle hole, and the logo below the spindle hole. I'm going to say this is Roman numerals, so side I and II. That's how I describe this promo. I'm going to make a note that on all 3 of these promo copies, on the back, here, let me pull it out because I'm glaring off of my sleeve here. On the back, in this corner right here, there is no mention of Corky Stasiak as the engineer. That that does come into play at some point. So we got those 3 promo copies there. And now time for an oddity. So this jacket has no marks on it whatsoever. And what I was saying about Corky just a second ago, you see he's at the bottom here now. When I pull this record out and show you that it's on a Filmworks label, you look off to the right side, you can see where it says side 1 and 2, and it says not for sale. So we have a promotional copy that is a damn reissue. Not real common. I think I know 5 or 6 people now that have this. I mean, it is being found, but this is just a weird one to me. And when I saw the listing for this on eBay, I bought it. It was a full auction. I tried for it and decided that I was going to determine whether that was real or counterfeit. And if it was a counterfeit, I was going to destroy it. Well, when I got it in, I figured out it was real. So now I ended up finding another copy a month or 2 later, and I fixed a friend of mine up with it. And then I've had a couple of other friends come across copies in the last couple of years too. But so my going off on a little side road here, my theory on that is, and I'll drop the image here because I saved it. Cream Magazine had a subscription drive around Christmas of '76. And it was basically, if you sign up for a year subscription, we'll give you a free copy of Rock and Roll Over. So Christmas of '76, we was in the Camel label period, right? That subscription drive went until February of 1977. And it's not a stretch to think that it would have took a few months to get everybody's names together and submit a list to the record company saying, all right, we need copies of Rock and Roll Over for these people. And record company probably just threw in an order to one of the pressing plants, said, hey, we need this many free copies to give away for Cream Magazine. And by the time it was all said and done, we had transitioned to the Filmworks label and got the copy sent out to people. So that's what my theory is on the whole deal. I could be wrong, but I mean, it kind of makes sense to me. So I haven't really heard any other theories about it. So yeah, the Filmworks label promotional copy for Rock and Roll Over. That's an oddity. All right, getting into retail copies now. So for your first issue, your jacket will not have Corky's name there in that corner down below Peter Criss's face. You will have a merchandise order form, and you will also have a segmented sticker. And these segmented stickers are pretty brittle by this point, so it's probably a good idea to exercise a little bit of care when you handle them, just to make sure you don't lose any pieces. That'll probably be the only one that I pull out. And then you've got this custom inner sleeve here. All right. And then the final thing for it to be considered a first issue is that it's on that camel label there. And zooming it in, you can see it says side A and side B on the right-hand side. It's got a big title and logo above the spindle hole. So there's one variation of the first issue. All right, we got another variation of the first issue. And if you'll notice, that one I just showed matches one of the promo labels that I showed. You got the same guts on the inside, the label on the vinyl. You got the title above the spindle hole and the logo below. And it's side 1 and 2 in Roman numerals. So side I and side II. That also matches up one of the promo labels that I showed. So nine times out of 10, if there's a promo label variation, there's usually a stock copy label variation that matches it. I mean, there's a very few instances where that's not the case, but most of the time it is the case. All right. Got another variation of the first issue. And all it needs to be the first issue is that camel label and not to have Corky on the back of the jacket. That's all it needs. All right, this one, you got the logo and the title above the spindle hole, and it's side 1 and 2. And I would say that that's a medium-sized logo and title. So yeah, I kind of have to use that as a descriptor because there's another side 1 and 2 that have the title and logo above the hole. All right. Then another variation of the first issue. And this one matches one of the promo labels that I showed. So you've got side 1 and 2 on the right, just like the last one that I showed. But the logo and the title above the spindle hole is a bit smaller. So I kind of have to use the size descriptor to distinguish those two. And as I've said in the past, this is just different pressing plants putting the information on the labels. So that's all these label variations are. All right, now we're going to do a couple of record clubs real quick. Starting off with CRC. So we have no Corky on the back of the jacket. And if you look on the spine, maybe I can get it to focus with my finger. I might still have to drop the image in, but the CRC is printed on the spine. It almost grabbed it. Yeah, I'll just drop the image in. And I have looked at this stuff with a microscope, literally. That CRC is printed on top of the spine, meaning that this was already printed and then that CRC was printed after the fact. You can actually see the black ink raised up off of the spine a little bit. So yeah, I get a little CSIE on some of this stuff. All right. We have another CRC variation. So we got no Corky, and then we've got a CRC sticker. And I'm going to say that that's a large CRC sticker. So there's something to be said about that. And as far as inserts go with the record clubs, for years, I was staunchly in the camp that record clubs did not contain inserts at all. And I have opened a few sealed record clubs to have nothing inside them. And I've had friends open a few sealed record clubs to have inserts inside. So I think it can be correct either way. But that one with the CRC printed on the spine and then these stickers, I believe that one of the Columbia pressing plants that was pressing this album anyway set back so many for their club. They slapped a sticker on a regular retail copy or printed the CRC on the spine and sold them through their record club. That's what I think. Because if you look at the labels are the same that you can find on a retail copy. The runouts are the same. I mean, it's all the same. All right. We have yet another record club. No Corky on the back. And we have a small CRC sticker. So these small stickers are kind of a fairly new find. There's been a couple of titles I've seen so far with them. Double Platinum, Rock and Roll Over, I think maybe Destroyer and Hotter Than Hell. So those are CRC variations with a camel label. There will be more with the Filmworks label when I get to them. Now we move on to the Filmworks label. So this Filmworks reissue would have been anywhere from 1977 to 1981. Filmworks 1 doesn't have a pressing plant number, but it has a Sunset Boulevard address. I believe that these Filmworks reissues only came with the sticker. I mean, pretty much by this time, Love Gun was out, and there was no need to be advertising old stuff. So Love Gun had a merchandise sheet. So I think that they only came with stickers. I've never gotten a copy in with the Filmworks label that had a merchandise sheet with it. Now, that could be that the original owner misplaced the merchandise sheet, but it doesn't make sense for me that they would still be pushing Rock and Roll Over merch when Love Guns out, and they're trying to get rid of Love Gun merch. All right. So now we're on the Filmworks label. We've got the large title and logo above the hole, and on the right it says side A and side B. So it kind of matches that camel label that I showed earlier. And we now have Corky's name mentioned on the jacket. There is a transitional period. You can find camel label copies that have Corky on the jacket. You should not be able to find Filmworks copies that do not have Corky's name on the jacket. I believe it's rumored that like 250,000 copies got out without his name on the jacket. And I mean, this album shipped platinum, so that means that there was 1 million copies in stores on release day. And on release day, Filmworks label didn't exist yet, so you shouldn't be able to find a jacket without Corky's name on it with a Filmworks label, I don't think. But the other way around, you can. All right. Next Filmworks label reissue. We have the title above and the logo below the spindle hole, and side 1 and 2 in Roman numerals. So side I and side II. And another thing you can look at on these jackets, when we're talking about, you know, Corky's name not on there versus his name being on there, look in these areas where there's gray or silver. So mostly if Corky's name isn't on the jacket, that ink is kind of shiny like silver. And once his name gets added to the jacket, it's more like a flat gray. So that's just another little difference there. Making sure all my jackets are oriented right before I put them back in the sleeve. All right, we got another Filmworks reissue. All right, you got a small title and logo above the spindle hole, and sides 1 and 2 on the right. Matches one of the camel labels that I showed earlier. And this one almost matches that Filmworks promo that I showed, but it's not quite a perfect match. So, but there is a perfect match to that promo, that Filmworks promo. And that's this one right here. Okay, it's got the small title and logo above, and then side 1 and 2 on right. Now I'm going to pull up both of them next to one another, and the center here, you can see how there's a small ring in the center, and then on the other one there's kind of a larger ring. I've never worked in a record pressing plant, but I have worked in and ran a punch press department that punched out metal. And so this little mark right here, we call this a witness mark. And basically it's just a mark left behind from the tooling. You know, whatever was holding the pressing plate into place when it came down onto the vinyl, it left that mark there. And then the mark on the other one as well. We call these witness marks, tooling marks, whatever you want to call it. But and then there's another, so I'll pull those two down, and then I'll put this one and the promo next to each other. And now you can kind of see down here towards the bottom, there's like a little void in the printing on both of them. And that other Filmworks label stock copy doesn't have that little void. So this is a exact match for the promo. And once I found this stock copy, that kind of helped me believe more that promo was real, because the runouts are just slightly different between these two. I mean, they were pressed at the same pressing plant, but the runouts are slightly different. This one does not match the promo, but this one that has the same witness mark on the label does match the promo. So that kind of gave me a little more confidence that promo was real. All right. And then we got another variation of the Filmworks label. And on this one, everything is below the spindle hole. So I didn't have a camel label that was like this. I've never seen a camel label like this. So that's a easy one to describe. Just everything's below the hole. All right. Now we got another round of record clubs. So the CRC here. So we got Corky's name on the back of the jacket. And then again, we've got CRC on the spine. So yeah, you can see that it's printed there. And just the same as that camel label version that I showed without Corky's name on the jacket, that's printed on top of the spine. So yes, I did go out and buy a microscope. Not necessarily for this purpose. I always kind of like microscopes. But one day the idea hit me to check on that, and sure enough, my suspicion was right. All right, got another CRC variation here. So we got Corky's name on the back. We've got a CRC sticker, and these two here both came with a Filmworks label. So I've not seen a small CRC sticker on a jacket with Corky's name listed yet, but it's kind of something that's always in the back of my mind to look for. All right, and now probably the most famous record club version of Rock and Roll Over, the RCA. And I say it's the most famous because look at Paul there. Looks like he's got a couple of teardrops coming out of his eye. Now, are those teardrops intentional? No. That's just it's a 4-color separation process to print these. One of the separations had a little tear in it, and I said tear, not tear, even though it's spelled the same way. And it left a mark pretty convincingly close to Paul's eye. It's not a real teardrop. You know, some people have some conspiracy theories about why this is. And it is what it is. It's a printing flaw. And on the back of this, you have the RCA license number there. And the reason you only find that teardrop, so to speak, on RCA copies is because RCA also was able to print their own jackets. So you won't find that teardrop on a CRC copy, and you won't find that teardrop on a regular stock copy. Every one of them will have that RCA license number on the back of the jacket. The entire RCA run on vinyl has that teardrop. So, all right, on to the label. Got a Filmworks label. Notice up at the top it says manufactured by RCA Music Service under license. And then at the bottom of the label, it gives the license number, which matches the back of the jacket. RCA was awesome about marking their stuff. Much better than Columbia House was, or CRC. So, I mean, some people believe that this teardrop is rare. It's not. Like I said, the entire run that RCA did has this error. I have never been shown a copy from RCA that doesn't have that teardrop. And I need to quit calling it a teardrop because it's not a teardrop. It's just a printing error. So, all right. Now we're skipping ahead to the early 80s. Polygram has taken over and started reissuing the back catalog. The back of the jacket has a little 501 in that upper corner up above Peter Criss's head. There it is. All right. And then the vinyl will have a Polygram address at the bottom of the label. See, it says manufactured and marketed by Polygram Records Incorporated, 810 7th Avenue, New York, New York, 10019. And you'll see right there before manufactured, there's a 53. So that 53 is a plant number, pressing plant number. It identifies where the pressing plant is. So you can find, sometimes you can find a UPC sticker that usually covers up that 501 there. So we all know about the jackets that have the barcode printed on them. There was a small series right before those were released. So this was released around 1983 to 1984. Whole catalog except for the originals and the Elder were released. So from the debut to Creatures. Most of them just come with a plain Filmworks inner sleeve. Rock and Roll Over, however, did get a custom inner sleeve, and it's thicker stock, kind of like the Destroyer inner sleeve. And then when you zoom in, of course, I doubt I'd be able to pick it up there. there's a white 0501 on the corner of the inner sleeve there. Now, I have seen copies of Rock and Roll Over that came with a Filmworks inner sleeve too. I believe it can come both ways, but it is certainly more desirable with this custom inner sleeve with the white 0501 on it. So there's Filmworks 2 reissue series from 1983 to 1984. And then we have a Filmworks 3 reissue series from 1985 to 1990. And it has the UPC printed on the jacket, so that's not a sticker right there. That's printed on. It has that same Filmworks Polygram label that the 1983-1984 reissue has. Filmworks 2 reissue. It also has a custom inner sleeve. Now, some people are going to say, Mike, that one's just Frankenstein. Well, they left a little bit of evidence behind here. So there is a UPC printed on the inner sleeve that matches the UPC that's printed on the jacket. So this Love Gun inner sleeve belongs with this copy of Rock and Roll Over. It is not Frankenstein. So if you have one and you thought it was Frankenstein and you swap this inner sleeve out, get it back in there because this is correct. Why they did that, I have no idea, but it is what it is. And funny enough, the Filmworks 2 series from 1983 to 1984 and this Filmworks 3 series from 1985 to 1990, Rock and Roll Over is the only record that got a custom inner sleeve. Now we're jumping a little further ahead to 2014 when they reissued everything with the Hysteria set. Some copies or some titles were available in stores along with being available in Hysteria, and some were just exclusive to the Hysteria set. This was available in stores. On the back of the jacket, you have, information about Universal, and then it gives a 2014 copyright date. So it's simple enough to distinguish that from a vintage copy. It came with a reproduction of the original inner sleeve. And these 2014 reissues, everything seems sturdier. The jackets, the inner sleeves, even the inserts. They gave us a segmented sticker with these reissues. And so far, these stickers aren't as brittle because they're not as old. They're not 50 years old. 47, 48, but you get the point. And then the vinyl was reissued with a camel label. And there's a Mercury logo at the bottom of that camel label and a 2014 copyright. So it's easy to distinguish this from a vintage copy. This set of 2014s I feel was done very well. They sound fine. They look great. They hold up. got another reissue here. So around, I think it was 2019, they reissued Rock and Roll Over and Hot in the Shade at the same time on colored vinyl. So with Rock and Roll Over, we got the same jacket that we got from the 2014 reissues. There was a UPC sticker on the shrink. I don't keep shrink wrap, so I peeled the shrink wrap off. I lifted that sticker up off of the shrink wrap, placed it over the barcode on the jacket where it was on the shrink. I don't like shrink wrap. All right. We got the same label as the 2014. It says 2014 down at the bottom. And then it was on a translucent orange vinyl. As you can see my face through the vinyl still. It's pretty translucent. And I'll pop up a scan of it that I did. You can't really see the translucent part on the scan, but you can definitely see the orange. And this colored vinyl reissue, also came with the sticker, and then there was a gold hype sticker on there. Now this is not specific to any one release. It's just it's a stock sticker that they can put on any colored vinyl title. And can't remember if I said before or not, but it was 2019 when this one was done. And then the final reissue in the US. This was done just a couple years ago, 2021 or 22, one of the two. So we have a very, very much heavier jacket than normal. This is what you call a tip-on jacket. So the jacket is folded, and then everything, the cover is actually pasted onto the jacket. So it's kind of a more premium quality thing. And then we got a segmented sticker with it. Not any different than the 2014. Matter of fact, it's still got the 2014 catalog number on it. So it's just, they just reprinted the stickers for this. And then as another little bonus, they gave us this lenticular sheet. They did this for a second with a couple of releases, and then they stopped. I kind of wish they would have kept going with this, but oh well. And then the vinyl is a picture disc. Finally, a US picture disc. This, why it took this long to get a picture disc in the US is beyond me. This is such an obvious choice. Then you got the inner sleeve image on the back, but this looks great spinning around the turntable. Now there is a that episode of Kiss My Collectibles I was on. I did talk briefly with the hosts about a picture disc from back in the day, and it was a prototype picture disc. It was pressed at the RCA plant, and if you want to go back and watch that, they did a little research and explained a little bit why it existed. It's not an official item, but it was pressed at RCA, and it was just that inner sleeve image on both sides. There was one printed up for Rock and Roll Over, and then there was one done for Alive 2 also. But I would recommend watching that episode to get the information from the folks that know more about it than I do. So that was the end of the album. And now we'll talk about 45s a little bit. All right. So the first single released off of Rock and Roll Over was, let me make sure I got them in the right order. Yeah. Was Hard Luck Woman. And it had Mr. Speed on the back. So we're still on the Camel label. So the company sleeve it should come in, should have camels all the way across. And then the promotional copy. You got the mono side. You've got the stereo side. Same song on both sides. All right. Now the retail copy, also on a Camel label. So you got the Hard Luck Woman side. And then you've got the Mr. Speed side. And if you look on the left-hand side, below the KISS logo, there's 4 lines of text. So I pointed that out for a reason. And that reason will be on this 45. So there's the Hard Luck Woman side. And there's the Mr. Speed side. If you look underneath the KISS logo, you now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines of text. So there's a little variation to look out for there. And then we got a reissue of Hard Luck Woman. You see it's in a Filmworks sleeve. And it's on a Filmworks label. There's Hard Luck Woman. If you notice out to the left, there's a 19. So that is a pressing plant number. There's Mr. Speed. And with that pressing plant number, that makes this a Filmworks 1.5 label. It has a pressing plant number, and then it has a Sunset Boulevard address at the bottom. Very rare 45. Very rare. Now, same difference. We got a picture sleeve. I believe this one's Germany or somewhere, Netherlands, something like that. All right. Got the actual Hard Luck Woman label up there on a camel label. And then there's Mr. Speed. These 45s were only available in the box set. You could not buy them at retail. So if you bought one on its own, it came on the secondary market. Somebody had stripped it out of a box set and sold it. So and these picture sleeves are printed on some quite durable material, not the flimsy paper that everybody has gotten used to from over the years. All right. Next up is Calling Dr. Love, backed with Take Me. We got the promotional copy on the camel label here. There's the mono side. And the stereo side. Note that it says promotion on the left and not for sale on the right. All right. Moving on to retail. Got a camel label with large text. There's Calling Dr. Love. And then there's Take Me. And then we got another camel label variation with much smaller text. So there's Calling Dr. Love. And Take Me. And then we got reissues on the Filmworks 1 label. Just a sunset address, no plant number. So there's a large text, Calling Dr. Love. And Take Me. And another variation on the Filmworks label with smaller text. There's Calling Dr. Love. And Take Me. And now from the singles box set, we've got Calling Dr. Love, Take Me. This is a German picture sleeve. And the vinyl is reissued on the camel label. So there's Calling Dr. Love. and Take Me. And that, my friends, is the Rock and Roll Over album. Several variations from the U.S. Worldwide, you get even more. Quite a few variations of 45s. Not too awful many, but one of them that's very, very, very rare to find. And I appreciate you hanging in there with me. I will catch you on the next one.